everyone, and welcome to the 34th episode in our AI and You podcast series. Today is Wednesday, January 13th, 2021, and I'm your host, Vikhar Saidi. I'm a computer scientist, an engineer, a lecturer, and a consultant. I'm also the author of several books. My most recent book is about artificial intelligence and is titled The Genome Affair. The Genome Affair is a speculative work. It examines what the world might be like if some of the more extraordinary capabilities forecast to be realized in AI over the next 20 to 30 years were actually realized today. Given the growing list of frightening existential threats humankind now faces, the book pays particular attention to the impact AI is expected to have on world affairs. The book is available in ebook format for those who prefer to read on a digital device, but it's also available in a high-quality paperback edition. The Genome Affair is available on Amazon, so I hope you'll take the time to read it and to leave a review. Amazon book reviews are very helpful for writers. I'm very interested in how science and technology influence world affairs and the big questions facing humankind. Studying at the confluence of the great disciplines of human history, political science and thought, international affairs, science and technology offers a deep understanding and pedagogically important lessons of how advances in human endeavor have influenced and impacted civilization. I'm available to give talks on artificial intelligence and its related technologies, and on the impact AI is expected to have, or is already having, on our world. If you'd like to get in touch with me to arrange a web-based event or consulting meeting with your company or organization, you can find my contact info in the podcast notes below. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share it with others if you find the content valuable. Thank you. And now, on to today's podcast. In our last podcast, episode 33, I spoke about the underlying causes of the recent insurrection on Capitol Hill in Washington, and how powerful technologies such as AI, biotech, quantum computing, and data science may further exacerbate the problem in the future. In today's podcast, episode 34, I'll talk about the highly unusual timing of an important announcement on artificial intelligence made by the current U.S. administration. Let's get started. The United States is in the midst of an extraordinary predicament. It is concurrently enduring both a political and a public health crisis. The nation is transfixed as Congress prepares to vote to impeach President Trump for the second time in the wake of the January 6th incitement to insurrection charge leveled against him. This insurrection has now resulted in the deaths of 5 people, including 1 police officer. Hundreds of federal charges have been filed by the United States Attorney General's office against the president's supporters, a mob who were riled up by the president and his enablers on social media. They came from across the country to take part in a violent insurrection that terrorized lawmakers and ordinary citizens alike. As the legislature debates impeachment, and as preparations are being made for the inauguration ceremony of Joe Biden as the 46th President of the United States, the country rests on a knife's edge. Intelligence reports are warning of further violence in the nation's capital as the legislature makes the case for the president's immediate removal. Heavily armed National Guard troops have been deployed within the Capitol itself, and are prepared for violence. The nation's capital and virtually every state capital are also bracing for violence on Inauguration Day, and so the situation doesn't bode well for a peaceful transfer of power. Following an indisputable election in which Joe Biden secured 81.2 million votes to Donald Trump's 74.2 million, this should not be the case. But such is the reality when senior Republican leaders and their cohort engage in the deliberate dissemination of misinformation and outright falsehoods over preceding months and years. The nation has sadly reached a point where truth and falsehood, sense and nonsense, and those who speak it, are virtually indistinguishable in the eyes of too many ordinary and vulnerable citizens, and the outcome of this reality is plain to see. The raging public health crisis in which the cumulative death toll is rapidly approaching 400,000, with daily death tolls exceeding 4,000, is also an event that has captured the nation's attention. Unfortunately, falsehoods surrounding this issue abound as well. Additionally, for large segments of the nation's citizens who espouse a fiercely libertarian culture, the recommendations to wear masks, to practice social distancing, and to avoid large gatherings has been very difficult to tolerate. The situation has led to dangerous animosity towards public health officials and towards fellow citizens who have acquiesced to these demands. Acrimony and a collapse in public opinion towards China within the US and more generally across the West have also complicated matters as coronavirus deaths and hospitalization rates soar. The Chinese social contract, which requires citizens to surrender their personal liberties in exchange for domestic order and security, economic stability, and international prestige, has led to a remarkable rise in China's fortunes over the past 3 decades. Hundreds of millions have been lifted out of abject poverty. But behavior by the Chinese Communist Party and the People's Liberation Army over the past 5 years has led to great consternation in capitals across the West, even as these same capitals seek to open markets in China for their domestic industries and thus secure economic growth at home. The report this week from Brazilian public health authorities that China's Sinovac coronavirus vaccine has an efficacy rate of just 50% has been a major blow to China's international prestige and will undoubtedly displace confidence in the attitudes of Chinese citizens across the domestic socioeconomic spectrum, as well as the diaspora. The Chinese authorities bypassed the publication of Phase 3 clinical data from Sinovac's vaccine trial in peer-reviewed academic journals. This breach of protocol was not an acceptable action for any credible medical and scientific authority. Publication of this data in peer-reviewed journals is a medical and scientific norm, and as a result of not publishing, only developing economies were willing to accept the Chinese vaccine. This major setback is further exacerbated by the unfortunate and widely accepted fact that the coronavirus, COVID-19, actually originated in Wuhan, China. Remarkably though, on January 12th, against this backdrop of extraordinary domestic and world events, with the nation engulfed in political chaos and with daily death tolls from the coronavirus in uncharted territory, the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, OSTP, announced the establishment of the National Artificial Intelligence Initiative Office. This follows the issuance of the National AI Strategy that was published in February of 2020. The formation of this office is designed to accelerate America's efforts to ensure its leadership in a critical technology, particularly in light of the geopolitical chasm and economic turmoil that has opened between America and China in recent years. The chasm has been further exacerbated since the coronavirus has wrought economic and political havoc, sickness and death across the globe for the past year. The new AI office is charged with overseeing and implementing the United States National AI Strategy and will serve as the central point of coordination and collaboration in AI research and policymaking across the government, the private sector, academia, as well as with various other stakeholders. The National AI Initiative Office is an outcome of the National Artificial Intelligence Initiative Act of 2020, which codified many existing AI policies and initiatives already in existence throughout the federal government. Given the state of affairs on the domestic stage, leading political scientists and thought leaders in AI can only speculate as to the unexpected and peculiar timing of this announcement. But nevertheless, it's an important declaration that lends comfort to those of us concerned with the maintenance of America and the West's leadership in this critical area of science and technology. Thank you for spending some time with me. I'm trying to follow the TED Talk format, and so I'm keeping these podcasts under 20 minutes. Let me know what you think. I hope you'll find these insights into artificial intelligence helpful, and I hope you'll read my new book, The Genome Affair. It's on Amazon. Until next time then, this has been the AI and You podcast with author Fikhar Saeed.